how I went from out-of-shape founder to breaking a national muscle-up record on my lunch break in 3 months while building a $1 million online gaming startup without any previous experience. So, this journey as a founder, if you've been thinking about doing your own thing, getting in elite shape, it can be a very lonely journey. Especially in this age of AI and the internet disruption, it can feel like you're just seeing this shiny object, everybody is doing so well, while you're left behind. Now, of course, it can be daunting and it feels like, hey, you're actually not accomplishing anything. I know this from my own experience because when I started out, I was, just like you, like thinking about like these big goals that I want to not just, I don't want to let go of my athletic endeavors and goals. I actually want to take them to the next level and still, maintain a healthy mindset as well as to start building actually something truly amazing online. You can use these mental models that I will go through today with you that will help you in 3 months get to 10% body fat and $10,000 online. So let's break it down. So actually how we do it is, I call it the 3-month plan to become top 1% 80-20 anti-fragile. So the idea here is that, so how do we do it? Well, when you're a founder or a high-thriving person in your career, you got to think of yourself as an athlete. Athlete's body, founder's mindset, and the soul of an artist. So how do we start? So if you look at fitness, it's about actually getting started, but you still need to have a good plan, because if you're just executing, that will lead you to suboptimal results. On the other hand, if you plan too much, you won't get anything done. So when I started on the journey of breaking a national muscle-up record, everybody told me that, dude, that's impossible to do. Like, to do that on your lunch break and then, to even dream of something like this. So this was in 2021 when I was out of shape, and I was like, damn, I really need to get in shape, but at the same time, like, I think it's so boring just to focus on weight loss or building muscle. I really want to challenge myself. And I knew that because I have been training since 2008 when I was in the army, which is mandatory here in Finland. I knew that basic stuff will get the goals done. But you still need to narrow down and to have a good action plan. So, how did I get started? So, 10,000 steps per day was the first step. It starts with the first step, literally. So, I started walking 10,000 steps per day. Now, why did I do that? Well, if you walk daily, then that will actually burn more calories. And if you burn more calories, you got it, you will start to burn off fat. So, I was overweight and I needed to get down, slim down. And the idea is basically in a muscle up, you're pulling yourself against gravity. So the lighter you are, the easier it becomes. And why didn't I do cardio every day? Well, the thing about cardio is that while it's great for your heart health as well as for your brain health, I think too much will, number one, it will definitely burn off your muscle if you do it excessively. And also, there are studies that have shown that basically if you go out for a walk, you will blunt your ghrelin hormone, which is the hunger hormone, and the less hungry you are while burning calories, you will lose weight. But on the other hand, you probably also felt that after a cardio session, you're quite hungry, and then after a few months, you're like, damn, I've done a lot of cardio, but I don't lose any weight. And that's because you compensate with more eating. So get your 10,000 steps in. That brings us to CICO. So calories in, calories out. This is essential. So when you start on your 3-month journey, you want to write down, are you going to be in a calorie surplus, meaning you want to build muscle, or do you want to be in a calorie deficit? And most founders that I've coached want to actually slim down, because when you're sitting a lot in front of your computer, being in a hunched forward position, and that's like the smoking of today is to be working at your computer. It's very unhealthy to sit there, and at the same time you might grab a chocolate bar or whatever, and then like your metabolism slows down, you're eating too much, and you gain weight, right? And that is like one of the biggest issues today, is that people sit so much. So you want to write down on a piece of paper that I want to have the most enjoyable way of being in a 400 calorie deficit per day. Because whatever magic diet you see online, they won't get the results as well as you being a simple calorie deficit. So like 2,400 calories, if you burn that per day through exercise and walking and just being alive, basically your basic metabolic rate, then you will know that, okay, I burn this much per day. You want to eat at 2,000 calories. Of course, you want to prioritize like high protein and clean diet, but first and foremost, it's about the calories that you put in. Next up, we want to make sure that we train like a hybrid athlete. So a lot of people think that, going to the gym or doing a lot of cardio is great. But most people who I've coached, like founders and hybrid athletes, are like, man, it's so fun to be on the 80-20 way of training, which is basically training twice per week strength, basic body weight exercises, because your body doesn't know the difference of using weights or your own body weight against gravity. That's why we do twice per week strength training and only once per week cardio. And on the cardio side, you want to basically be doing like run for 1 hour, for instance, on Sunday at 60% of max heart rate. This will build your aerobic base, and the aerobic base is great to have there because it improves your cardiovascular function as well as your basic conditioning. Now again, this will help you to build that calorie deficit so you can reach the ideal body weight after 3 months. So you want to aim for that 10% body fat. By doing this, you can be well on the way. Then you want to have 2 other sessions where you do what you actually enjoy doing. So for me, that's combat sports or skateboarding. And why should you do that? Well, think about like the sports you enjoyed doing as a kid. Now, if you have start doing like some sport activity like that, then you will have a lot more fun than just going to the gym and, building muscle hypertrophy training, what it is called, and actually have these sessions where you're putting in that creative mindset. And that is actually how you then can start developing that founder's mindset, which will unlock an online company or thrive in your career. So that was actually how I got started on the muscle up journey, while training strength, cardio, and then also having some fun in between. And also as a hybrid athlete, you need to think about recovery. So I used Wim Hof method, which is cold exposure, 30 seconds of cold showers in the morning and deep breathing. Don't do this after exercise because it will actually blunt your muscle building. Instead, after exercise, it's great to go in a hot shower, or like we have here in Finland, we have like 5 million saunas. So that's a super good way of recovery. So I like to think of this like Andrew Huberman link, which is basically, he's a Stanford neuroscientist, and he talks about like how you can actually manipulate your core temperature for optimal performance. And this was actually a small hack that I used, as you can see, where I was training for the muscle up national record, that my hands were really opening up here. Intra-workout, I took breaks in between sets of muscle ups and put my hands in lukewarm water for 2 minutes, because according to Andrew Huberman and Stanford research team, this is an optimal way of recovery in the workouts. And I can attest to that. I've been doing over 20,000 muscle ups the last 5 years, and this has been quite a hack to actually manipulate the core temperature for optimal performance and recovery. Speaking of which, if you actually want to start on the 80-20 path, you can sign up to the 7-day 7 elite habits that took me 16 years to find out as I've been on this journey. And this brings us then to you as either somebody who wants to thrive in your career, or you also want to build a bootstrapped, meaning that you go on zero funding and building your own venture. So of course, like many people think about building a company, and they want to have this business plan, they want to have, a clear business model and all of these things, and overcomplicate it. And that's like the hard thing. Like if you don't just start, then you will, like, a lot of planning will overcomplicate things. Like, I'm just an average guy, and an average guy focused will actually get ahead of 99%, even the ones who are extremely talented, who are more smart than you. And this brings us to actually focusing on the Charlie Munger's mental models. So Charlie Munger was one of the greatest investors of all time, and he always talked about how you can actually combine interdisciplinary skills in order to become a top 1% investor. So for instance, for me, that's by combining sports and business. And many people always say that they don't have anything to do with each other. But actually, both are about goal setting, and both are about getting ahead of your competition. And when you combine the mindset of looking at different disciplines, for instance, like right now, we're living in huge disruption, like internet technology and artificial intelligence. If you simply think about, like, all right, so these days you don't even have to know how to code, because you can use different tools to just get started. You can use social media to build a personal brand, like I've been doing, or use social media to build your own company, which I've also done. And that's actually when you start combining different elements from different disciplines, you will become unique. And that's also what Naval Ravikant says, that keep redefining who you are so that you can become top 1%. So you want to be the best in the world. And if you compete with everyone else, like doing the same thing, it will be very hard to differentiate. And that's why you want to work on a problem where you love the customer. So for me, for instance, I've been doing online coaching in fitness as well as in business, and I help a lot of people to actually reach their goals. And by combining these interdisciplinary skills, people have gotten the results similar to as I have gotten the results. But also, when I built my own online gaming company, when I started from nothing, if we simply would have started building, a mobile game or whatever, it would have been impossible to start with zero funding. But when we focused on virtual reality, building something similar to John Wick, because I worked in banking and in finance and academia, so I had a nice suit, and we thought that, hey, we're going to use me with the suit as well as my combat sports skills to market the game. And that cost us zero funding. And then we used AI, where I did all the movement for the game so we could make it realistic. So we used AI motion capture, and this allowed us to build something truly unique. And that way we were actually starting to truly niche down, and we used interdisciplinary skills that would set us apart. And this has already gotten us to about 30,000 customers now. And this would never have been possible before the internet age. So while you might think that I don't want to start on this dream journey that I have because everything is so completed, it's not true. It's the best time in the world to get started. And of course, if you need more help on this, I also do one-on-one coaching. So make sure you check out the free course as well as my online coaching. And that's why we want to write down a 3-month plan. So in the 80-20 coaching, you get a personalized plan in both fitness as well as finance. The goal is 3 months, and we focus on 10% body fat and earning $10,000 online. Now your goal can be unique, and your situation is of course unique, and that's why we tailor it to you. Now remember, there needs to be a balance between starting out and then having a plan. And that's why the 80-20 blueprint, the 80-20 plan, is where you focus on the 20% to get 80% of the results. And if you want to see more of my journey building an online gaming company, doing online coaching, starting in an old or stable, make sure you check this video. Or you want to see how far as I'm working on the muscle up world record still on my lunch break,